A prelude to her story, my journey to channeling Sarah. I grew up in a Christian home where Sundays were spent in church with my family. I cherished learning about Jesus and singing hymns with heartfelt conviction. Whenever I felt lonely, frustrated, or confused about life, I would turn to Jesus in prayer. This deep connection made me see Jesus as not just a figure of love and forgiveness, but as a true and trusted friend. As I grew older, I continued the tradition of attending church, now with my husband and children by my side. Yet, even as I honored this tradition, I always sensed that there was more to spirituality than what I had been taught. Often, when my friends spoke about Jesus, their words didn't resonate with me. I couldn't understand why their perspectives didn't align with the truths that my heart held dear. This led me on a journey of spiritual seeking as I yearned for knowledge that truly resonated with my soul. The spiritual world began to reach out to me, and my intuition became heightened. I started to hear spirits communicate with me telepathically, feel the emotions of others, and sense the different energies in various environments. These experiences were new and unfamiliar, and they brought a sense of fear. When I share my experiences with friends and family, their responses were often laced with fear and warnings of evil. Seeking guidance, I visited my pastor. She encouraged me not to be afraid and reminded me that I was in control. She advised me to speak from the heart and to let the spiritual world know if I wasn't ready. That evening, I communicated with the spiritual world, expressing my need for time to adjust to this new reality. I then sought out a spiritual teacher, a local psychic medium, who guided me through the process of understanding spiritual gifts. She taught me that these abilities were unique to me, but rather gifts that anyone could possess. I began practicing yoga and meditation using my intuition to support the children and families. After 30 years of service, I decided it was time to fully embrace and develop my psychic and mediumship abilities. 4 years into my spiritual journey, during a deep meditation, both Jesus and Sarah came to me. Jesus introduced Sarah and asked if she could channel spiritual messages through me, messages the world needed to hear. Instinctively, I knew I had to say yes, even though I didn't know how this would unfold. While I had experienced channeling telepathically during mediumship sessions, I had never channeled in a trance state before. I feared losing control and wondered where my soul would go during the process. But I soon realized that these fears were unfounded. Conscious trance channeling allows the person to remain fully aware while another entity speaks through them, using their voice and body. Once I accepted this sacred task, things began to unfold rapidly. I understood that I needed to wear a headpiece during a channeling session as a symbol of the sacred nature of Sarah's messages. As our energies began to merge, I practiced channeling Sarah's messages for a few close friends, and my trust in her deepened. Several times a week, I recorded videos of Sarah's channelings where her messages overflowed with love, hope, and divine guidance. In another meditation, I felt called to channel Sarah's journey with Jesus through automatic writing. As I wrote, vivid images accompanied each word, allowing me to experience what Sarah felt during these profound events. Her unconditional love for Jesus, for those she knew, and for the world was palpable. She played a significant role in Jesus' spiritual mission. Some of the events she recounts may challenge your current beliefs, but isn't that the essence of being a spiritual seeker? We are guided by our curiosity to uncover deeper spiritual wisdom. Today, many are searching for their own spiritual truth as the energy of our world is shifting, awakening people to their spiritual path. I hope that Sarah's story brings you new awareness, truth, wisdom, and above all, love. My first encounter with Jesus. I, Sarah, walked among Jesus. I lived in a small village with my father, a sweet and thoughtful man who raised me after my mom died from childbirth complications. It was not an easy task for him in those times, but he protected me and made me feel safe. Every evening after a long, hard day, I prepared meals for us, mostly bread, and felt grateful despite our simple fare. When he passed, his face lit up with a peaceful readiness to reunite with my mother. I buried him next to our house, finding myself alone but not afraid, for my father had taught me to embrace life. Knowing I needed a trade to survive, I turned to pottery. I had nothing to offer a man to take care of me, so I had to fend for myself. At the market, I kept my gaze down, blending in with the crowd. Pottery was an integral to a daily life. People drank from pottery cups and ate from pottery plates. Living near a clay rich area, I would pray with gratitude each time. I gathered clay from the earth. My feet were perpetually discolored from the clay, a testament to my work. I learned the craft by watching townswomen and was especially drawn to making wine pitchers, items that brought joy to the people. It took months before I had enough pieces to sell, and I enjoyed decorating them with triangle designs. My friend Mary often kept me company while I worked and helped me take my pottery to market. The day I met Jesus was a glorious one. I woke early, greeted by the warmth and peace of the sunrise. It was another day of selling pottery. And I loaded my cart with Mary's help before she had to tend to her mother. As I sat with my wares, I felt a presence. Hesitant to look up, fearing unwanted attention, I heard a soft voice ask why I made pottery. Feeling safe, my gaze moved forward from his feet to his smiling, glowing face. It was Jesus. Speaking very softly, he asked me why I did my pottery. Finding my voice, I explained that I made pottery to sell, but Jesus shook his head gently. No, he said. Why do you make pottery? I told him I enjoyed turning a handful of clay into something useful and beautiful, something that connected people to the earth. Jesus smiled, his presence comforting like my father's. He asked my name and inquired about the triangle designs. I explained that I felt compelled to add them to complete my creations. Jesus then mentioned a gathering a mile out of town at a campsite where people would come together to make plans or simply talk. It was a familiar place where Mary and I often met our friends. He invited me to join them at sundown, and I asked if I could bring Mary along. Yes, bring whoever you want to, he said. I asked him what his favorite piece of pottery was. He told me it was the smallest pitcher. It might be small, but it's meant for big things. Knowing that Jesus traveled often and likely had no need for pottery, I asked if he wanted to take it anyway. He appreciated the gesture, but said he couldn't carry it everywhere. Instead, he told me to bring it to the camp along with my favorite drink. I watched him walk away, eager to share the news with Mary. After Jesus left, I could hardly wait to see him again. His smile was safe and loving. I managed to sell a piece to a woman who admired its craftsmanship and wanted to use it at her family's dinner table. With the money, I bought wine for the pitcher Jesus wanted me to bring. There was no time to go home. I was too excited. When Mary came by to help with my pottery, she was thrilled to hear about my encounter with Jesus. She had heard about him from the others in the city. We loaded my pottery onto the cart, stopped to buy more wine and some fruit for supper, and felt like children embarking on an adventure. Reflections on Chapter 1. Number 1, how do you think Sarah's relationship with her father shaped her character and her ability to face challenges after his death? Number 2, the craft of pottery is central to this chapter. What do you think the pottery symbolizes in Sarah's life, and how does it connect to her spiritual journey? Number 3, Sarah describes feeling a sense of comfort and familiarity when meeting Jesus. What do you think it was about Jesus that evoked these feelings, and how does this reflect the idea of divine presence in everyday life? Number 4, why do you think Jesus asked Sarah why she made pottery, and how do you interpret her response about connecting people to the earth? Number 5, the triangle designs on Sarah's pottery seem significant to her. What might these designs represent, and how do they tie into the themes of the chapter? Number 6, Sarah was hesitant to make eye contact at the market, but felt safe looking at Jesus. What does this reveal about her internal state and her perception of others? Number 7, consider Sarah's decision to follow Jesus' invitation to the gathering. What does this decision signify about her faith, curiosity, or need for connection? Number 8, how does the interaction between Sarah and Jesus reflect the broader themes of simplicity, humility, and purpose in life? Number 9, what do you think is significant of Jesus choosing the smallest picture and his comment about it being meant for big things? How might this foreshadow future events in Sarah's life? And number 10, if you were in Sarah's position, how would you have responded to Jesus' question and invitation? What does this tell you about your own values and beliefs?